The final stand of a warrior. Girl, the ground was shaking. Explosions lit the sky like angry stars. Black smoke rose over the battlefield, covering everything in ash. Alien warrior girl Zira stood alone, her legs weak, her breath heavy. Her armor was cracked, her left arm bleeding. Everyone from her unit was gone, dead or missing. She was the last one still fighting. Zira's hands tightened around her plasma blade. Her enemy, the Scalons, monstrous creatures with thick red skin and claws like blades, were moving in. They surrounded her like hungry beasts. One of them laughed, its voice deep and cold. "You are the last. You die now." Zira didn't speak. Her eyes burned with fire. She raised her blade and charged. The first Scalon came at her, swinging hard. She ducked, sliced low, and took its leg. Another grabbed her arm, but she headbutted it, broke free, and stabbed its chest. She moved like lightning, but even lightning fades. Her power cell was almost empty. Her blade flickered. Her strength was running out. One Scalon threw her to the ground. Her weapon slipped from her hand. She rolled over trying to reach it, but the beast raised its claw, ready to finish her. Then, bang! The Scalon's head exploded. Zira froze. The others turned. Out of the smoke, a figure walked slowly. Not alien, not Scalon. Human. He wore old, scorched armor. His face was rough with a scar down his jaw. A strange black rifle was in his hand, still smoking. He walked like someone who had seen too many battles and survived them all. Zira blinked. "A human?" she whispered. He didn't answer. He just threw something at her. She caught it. A fresh power cell. With no time to think, she snapped it into her blade. It lit up again, glowing bright blue. The Scalons roared and attacked. But this time, Zira wasn't alone. Back to back, the human and the alien girl fought like they were one. He shot fast, clean, no wasted bullets. She slashed and spun with deadly grace. Together they cut through the Scalons like a storm of fire and thunder. After what felt like forever, the last beast fell. Silence. Zira stood there, chest rising and falling, blood on her face. She turned slowly toward the human. He was sitting on a broken stone, cleaning his weapon. She walked up to him, her voice shaking. Why did you help me?" He looked up at her with tired eyes and said just one thing. "You fought well, but you're not alone anymore." Zira didn't know how to answer. She didn't even know his name. But somehow, for the first time in days, maybe weeks, she felt safe. And that scared her more than the enemy. The human called Ghost Rain fell, gently over the ruins. Not the usual acid rain of battle worlds. This one was cold and clean, as if the planet itself was trying to wash away the blood. Zira opened her eyes and saw a dim ceiling above her. It wasn't a ship, it wasn't a prison. She was in a cave. Her wounds were covered. A blanket was over her, and something smelled like food. She sat up fast, grabbing a sharp rock near her. Her instincts were screaming, "Enemy trap." But then she saw him. The human. He was crouched near a small fire, turning meat on a metal rod. His armor was off, revealing a faded Earth military suit with strange black symbols on the shoulder. Symbols she didn't recognize. Scars covered his arms and neck, some old, some fresh. Zira stood. "Where am I?" He didn't turn around. "Safe, for now." She frowned. "Who are you?" He glanced back at her. "Call me Ghost." "Ghost?" she asked, confused. "That's what they used to call me," he said, "before they left me here." Zira looked around. The cave was deep. One wall was stacked with gear, some alien, some human. Old tech, homemade traps, scrap weapons, power packs. It was like a small armory built from leftovers of war. She didn't lower the rock. "Why help me?" he shrugged. "You looked like you didn't want to die yet." Silence filled the space. Only the fire crackled. Zira slowly sat near the fire, not fully trusting him but too tired to fight. Ghost handed her a metal cup. "Drink." Electrolytes. You've lost blood. She sipped. The drink was bitter, but it brought warmth back to her chest. After a moment, she asked quietly, "You're Earthborn?" Ghost nodded. "Marine Recon, Special Division. That unit vanished 3 cycles ago." "They didn't vanish," Ghost said, voice turning cold. "They were sacrificed by their own leaders." Zira's eyes widened. "Why?" He didn't answer. Instead, he tossed her a small scanner. She looked at the screen and saw something that made her stomach drop, a map of the sector, marked with destroyed outposts. Not by alien hands, but by Earth Command. "They wanted us to stir chaos," Ghost said. "Blame the aliens, justify future wars. We said no, so they erased us." Zira stared at him. "You're the last?" Ghost stood, picking up his weapon. "Maybe. Doesn't matter now." He moved to the cave entrance and looked out into the storm. "The Scalons will return. They never stop." Zira followed him. "Then we fight." He gave her a look, half respect, half warning. "You're strong, alien girl, but this is more than war now. It's survival." Zira narrowed her eyes. "My name is Zira." Ghost nodded once. "All right then. Zira, let's get to work." As they stepped out into the cold night, something watched them from the cliffs, above. A black shape with glowing red eyes, blinking once, then vanishing. Enemies that hunt in silence. The night didn't feel normal anymore, not since the eyes. Zira hadn't spoken of it. But ever since they left the cave 3 days ago, she felt something watching her. Not the Scalons, not humans. Something else. Something that didn't breathe loud. Something that didn't bleed when cut. She and Ghost walked through the ruins of a fallen comm station. The air was dry, the buildings were broken, and shadows moved in strange ways. Ghost knelt down, his hand touching the dirt. "Tracks," he whispered. Zira leaned in. "Scalons." He shook his head. "Too light. No heat signature. No scent. Whatever this is, it walks without leaving signs." She raised her weapon. "Then how do you know something's even there?" Ghost glanced at her. "Because last night my trap was sprung, and there was no body." Zira's fingers tightened. The wind picked up. Loose metal clanged in the distance. Then something dropped from the sky, not on them, but on a dead creature nearby. It moved like liquid shadow. Long arms, thin frame, almost invisible. Its claws opened the corpse's chest, pulled something out, and vanished again. No sound, no trace. Zira's heart stopped. What was that? Ghost stood slowly. "I call them the Silent Ones. I've only seen 3, never twice in the same place." "They hunt?" Zira asked. "They study," Ghost replied. "They collect bones, brains, battle memories." "Why haven't they killed you?" He looked at her, serious. "Because I haven't given them a reason." Zira remembered the red eyes on the cliff. "They watched us leave the cave." "Yes," Ghost said. "And now they're following." The two moved on, but something had changed. The battlefield felt colder, more aware, like the land itself had eyes. Later that night, Zira had a nightmare. In it, she saw her sister again, bleeding, trapped under rubble, reaching for help. Zira had left her behind. Mission first, she had told herself. But that face haunted her every night. She woke up in sweat. Ghost sat near the fire, awake, holding his weapon. "You dream loud," he said. Zira didn't respond. "You left. Someone behind," he guessed. Zira's voice was sharp. "You don't know anything." He nodded. "You're right." Then he added, "But guilt changes how you fight." She stared at him. He turned to her. "You charge like someone who doesn't care if they live. That's not strength, Zira. That's suicide." Zira looked away, but deep down, she knew he was right. The next day they reached the signal tower. Its metal spine rose into the clouds, half broken, its lights dead. Inside, there were more dead Scalons, but their bodies were different. Hollowed, not just killed, studied. On one wall, carved into rusted steel, was a message in dried blood. They listen, do not speak. Ghost covered the writing with a tarp. We send the signal fast, then we leave. Zira moved toward the console, started pressing keys. A whisper reached her ear. She spun. Nothing. Ghost? He didn't move. He was frozen, eyes wide. One of the silent ones was behind him, inches away. It was tall, mask-like face, smooth and featureless. Its body shimmered like glass. Its claw was on Ghost's shoulder, but he hadn't felt it. Zira raised her blade slowly. The creature turned its head. No mouth, no eyes. Yet it saw her. She blinked once, and it was gone. Ghost gasped. It touched me. Zira ran to him. Are you hurt? No, he said, but it was in my mind. It showed me something. He looked up at her. They're not here to kill us. They're here to remember us. Zira swallowed hard. That's worse. The secret war. Zira had seen many battlefields, burned cities, crushed moons, bodies stacked like broken tools. But nothing had ever made her feel cold deep in her bones. Until now. They had found the vault. Hidden beneath the old signal tower. Covered by metal plates and false wiring, it looked like an old storage room. But Ghost knew the code. He opened it like he had done it before. What waited below wasn't weapons. It was truth. Rows of strange machines hummed in darkness, half alien, half human. Holograms flickered, images of captured species, implant surgeries, maps of entire planets marked in red. Zira touched a screen. It showed her face. A file appeared. Target profile, Zira Carr, level 3, genetic match. Observe, do not terminate. She stepped back. They were tracking me? Ghost nodded. They tracked thousands. You were one of the few they didn't try to kill. Why? Because you were strong. And they wanted to see what would happen when humans joined the fight. Zira stared. At him. What do you mean joined the fight? You are in the fight. Ghost's eyes darkened. No. Not like this. He led her deeper. Through a tunnel. Into a chamber. There, she saw it. Rows of pods. Inside them, hybrids. Some human, some alien, some both. They floated in green liquid. Wires ran through their bodies. Their eyes moved, but their mouths didn't open. Trapped in endless sleep. Earth made them, Ghost said, using pieces of fallen enemies, DNA from captured warriors. They created soldiers with no will, no soul. Zira's stomach turned. This is a crime. It was a secret, Ghost whispered. One they buried, but not before they sent us, the Ghost unit, to test the results. We refused. Zira touched one pod. The creature inside looked like her, but with empty eyes. They would have made this out of me, she whispered. That's why they tried to erase us, Ghost said. And that's why the silent ones are watching. They remember species that play with life. Outside, a cold wind blew. Zira stood in silence, staring at the sky. This isn't war, she said. This is horror. Ghost handed her a data pad. We can destroy the vault, blow it all to dust. Zira hesitated. What if someone needs this proof? Then we record it, Ghost said. But we don't let it live. She nodded. We send a message, but not just to the rebels, to all worlds, to all systems. Ghost smirked. You sound like a leader. Now. Zira smiled slightly. You're not the only one who's changing. But as they worked on the data core, a transmission cut through the silence. A voice. Weak. Static-filled. Zira. It's Commander Tana. Alive. Trapped. Coordinates. Zira froze. Ghost leaned in. Your commander? Yes, Zira said, eyes wide. She was captured. I thought she died years ago, Ghost checked the signal again. It's real, but it's inside Scalon territory, a fortress city. She saved me when I was a cadet, Zira said. I owe her. Ghost's jaw tightened. It could be bait. I'm going, Zira said. Ghost looked at her, long and hard, then nodded. Then we go together. As they packed their gear, Ghost paused and looked at her. We've seen the worst of both our kinds, he said. Are you sure you still want to fight? Zira looked toward the fortress on the horizon. Now I fight for something else. Ghost smiled. Good. He loaded his weapon, slung it on his back, and walked toward the storm. Zira followed, fire in her eyes. They weren't just survivors now. They were warriors with a cause. The rescue gamble. The fortress stood like a monster made of stone, tall, black and sharp-edged, rising from the ash plains like it had clawed its way out of the underworld. Zira had never seen a place so silent, yet so full of death. She and Ghost watched from a distance, lying flat on a high ridge. Below them, Scalon guards marched in perfect rhythm. Armored beasts crawled between towers and drones buzzed overhead like angry insects. This is suicide, Ghost said softly. She's in there, Zira replied. Ghost didn't argue. He just adjusted the rifle on his back. Then we'll do it smart. That night they didn't attack. They listened. Ghost placed sound traps around the outer zone. Zira traced guard patrols. For hours they moved like shadows, unseen, unheard. And at last they found it. A weak spot in the wall near a service tunnel, guarded by one drunk Scalon and a broken drone. Perfect. As they slipped through the crack, the air changed. It wasn't just the stench of rot and rust, it was the feeling. The walls pulsed slightly as if alive, and on the ground were symbols, ancient Scalon blood runes. Zira paused. This isn't just a prison. Ghost raised his gun. It's a temple. They reached a holding block. Cold cells lined in rows, each with a thick steel door. Inside, moaning sounds, whispers, breathing. Not all prisoners were still sane. Then she saw her, Commander Tana. Thin, bruised, her horns cracked, her body chained to a wall. Zira? The commander gasped, blinking weakly. You're real? Zira rushed forward and knelt beside her. I thought you were dead. Commander Tana coughed. I wished I was. Ghost covered them. We need to move, fast. But as they freed her, a deep voice echoed behind them. You should have left her to rot. A massive Scalon priest stepped from the shadows. Unlike the others, he wore no armor. Only a cloak made from the skin of fallen enemies in his hand, an electric flail that hummed with dark energy. You are trespassers, he said. And she is mine. Ghost fired first. The bullet bounced off a hidden shield. The priest swung. Ghost rolled away. Zira stepped forward, grabbing her blade. She clashed with the priest, sparks flying, steel screaming. He was fast, too fast, stronger than anyone she had fought before. Zira fell back. The priest lifted his weapon for the final strike until Ghost shot the ceiling above him. Rocks fell. Dust exploded. The priest stumbled, giving Zira the moment she needed. With a scream, she drove her blade through his stomach. The beast howled and died. They limped out of the temple. Ghost carried the commander. Zira fought off guards with broken weapons and blood on her face. They reached the ridge again, and the sun was rising. For the first time in a long while, they had made it. But not everyone was grateful. Commander Tana, sitting by the fire, looked at Zira with tired, angry eyes. I didn't ask you to come. You called for help, Zira said. I wanted warriors, not strays. Zira stepped back, wounded more by those words than any weapon. But Ghost stepped forward. Calm. Cold. She came because she still believes in loyalty, he said. You? You're just angry you were saved by a human. Commander Tana glared at him, but she said nothing, and in that silence, Zira realized something. Her old world no longer fit. She wasn't just a soldier anymore. She was something else. Now, something more. The bond forged in fire. The sky turned red before the attack came, not from the sun, but from fire. Explosions shook the cliffside camp. Smoke filled the air. Commander Taina's screams were drowned by the roar of Scalon warships above. They had followed. Zira rose from sleep with a jolt, grabbing her blade. Ghost was already firing, calm and quick, barking short orders as drones and beasts poured in from the skies like a storm of teeth and claws. "This isn't a raid," Ghost shouted. "It's a purge." Commander Taina tried to run, but was struck down by a collapsing structure. She screamed as her leg twisted under debris. Zira didn't think. She rushed toward the flames. Bodies burned around her. Old rebels, some who barely survived the prison, fell again. The few who picked up weapons fought with desperate courage, but they were outnumbered. Ghost leapt from a ledge, firing in slow bursts, never missing. He was bleeding, burned, but his eyes were steady. Then he saw it. The Scalon juggernaut. A beast, in black armor taller than two men, carrying a triple-barreled plasma cannon. It stepped into the camp like death itself. One blast sent 5 fighters flying. Zira charged. She was fast. Her blade flashed. But the juggernaut swatted her like a toy. She hit the rocks hard, her ribs cracking. She saw stars, then darkness. When she opened her eyes, she was being dragged, not by a beast, by Ghost. He was coughing blood, his armor broken, dragging her through the dirt with one arm and firing with the other. "You're not dying here," he muttered. Zira reached for her weapon, but it was gone. "You're hurt." "Yeah," Ghost said, eyes burning, and mad. He stopped near a fallen wreck, pulled a case from his belt. Inside, a glowing injector. "What's that?" she asked weakly. He didn't answer. He stabbed it into his chest. His body shook. Veins glowed for a second. Then he roared like an animal. Zira's eyes widened. "What did you just—" "Stolen Scalon booster," Ghost said, standing taller. "You said I fight like a ghost?" He picked up 2 weapons. Watch what a ghost can really do. He charged. The Scalon juggernaut turned, but Ghost moved like a shadow, faster than anything it had seen. Bullets tore through armor. He leapt, stabbed it with an energy spike, and blew it sky high. The beast exploded. Zira struggled to her feet. Broken, bloody, but burning with new strength. Around her, fighters saw what Ghost had done, and something changed. They picked up their weapons again. They screamed war cries. They ran toward death with fire in their hearts. Zira screamed too, and led the charge. It ended with smoke and silence and ash, but the enemy was gone. The camp stood. Barely. Zira leaned against a rock, breathing hard. Ghost sat nearby, his body shaking from the booster. His hands were burned, his face was cut, but he smiled. "You good?" he asked. Zira nodded. "Alive." Commander Taina was carried to the edge of the hill. She looked at Zira differently now. "You were willing to die," the commander said. "For them. For him. Why?" Zira answered, simple and clear. "Because now I fight for more than orders." Commander Taina looked away, ashamed. Ghost held out his hand to Zira. "Ready for the next war?" Zira took it. "With you?" "Always." And far above them, hidden in a distant sky, a silent one watched from orbit, recording everything, remembering. Heroes of 2 worlds. The battlefield was quiet now. Too quiet. Ash blew across the burned hills like snow. Broken ships, cracked helmets, and blood-marked banners lay scattered across the land. A war had ended here, but something greater had begun. Zira stood at the cliff's edge, her armor scorched, her blade blackened. The sun was rising behind her. Soft gold light touched her face. Behind her, survivors gathered, alien rebels, wounded warriors. Even Commander Taina, her leg braced with steel, stood silently, and beside Zira stood Ghost, no longer just a human, no longer just a forgotten soldier. Now he was a symbol. The news had spread faster than any ship, An alien warrior and a lone human had taken down a Scalon force 10 times their size. Some said the human was a machine. Others whispered he had no soul, only revenge. But the truth was simpler. He cared. And Zira? She was no longer just a fighter. She had become a bridge between worlds. Later that day, in the old rebel base, Ghost limped into the war chamber. Generals were arguing, shouting about resources and borders. Ghost didn't speak. He placed the stolen Earth data core on the table. The room fell silent. Zira followed him in. This is what they did in the shadows. These are the crimes they covered. The hybrid vault, the silent ones, the truth. The council stared at the data. For once they didn't argue. They listened. That night Zira walked outside the base. Stars blinked above her. Ghost joined her, wrapping a new cloak around his shoulder. You think they'll actually change anything? He asked. Zira shook her head. Maybe not now. Maybe not tomorrow. But the lie is broken. Ghost looked up. Then we did something. They stood in silence. Then Zira turned to him. You could leave now. Go back to Earth. I don't belong there anymore. Ghost said. Too many ghosts, she smiled. Then stay. Fight with me. He nodded. Always. Months passed. The story of the human and the alien girl spread across systems. Some called them myths, some feared them. But every time a new front opened, every time darkness rose, someone would whisper, they'll come. The Ghost and the Blade, one final scene. A distant planet, under siege, civilians screaming, children hiding. A Scalon general laughs. No one will stop us here. Then, footsteps, one human, one alien, walking side by side into fire. The general's smile fades. The warriors arrive, together, and the galaxy remembers. They fought well, but they never fought alone.